Hi, I'm Tom Lu. Today I'm in Paris. Paris, the capital of France, sometimes is also referred to the capital of Europe and even the capital of the world, given the history that it has served the center of so many important aspects of Western civilization: politics, economy, religion, and especially art and culture. Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's packed with the wealth of historic and cultural heritage, the most magnificent monuments that humanity can ever imagine. Paris is known worldwide for the Louvre Museum, Notre Dame Cathedral, and Eiffel Tower. Paris also has a reputation for being a romantic and a cultural city, known for its top-notch gastronomy and a leisure lifestyle. What we are going to show in the next few days probably is a special journey to a world-famous city, a breathtaking travel experience of lifetime. Paris, France's capital, is a major European city and a global center for art, fashion, gastronomy, and culture. Its 19th century cityscape is crisscrossed by wide boulevards and the River Seine. Paris is just like the picture postcards always say what she is: the most beautiful city in the world, stunning, exciting, and peaceful. We arrived in Paris on July 24th. We took an Uber from Rosie Charles de Gaulle Airport to our hotel in downtown Paris. The hotel, the People Paris Mahail, is a clean, stylish, and charming hostel. The most striking feature of the People Paris Mahail is 6 bunk beds in the hotel room, which we've never seen in any other hotel before. It provides good separate spaces for each member of the family to rest. The People Paris Mahail is located in the Mahail of Paris, one of the most popular quarters of Paris. It's by the beautiful Seine River and 17 minutes from Notre Dame Cathedral by walk. It's famous for old-world charm, narrow alleyways, hidden courtyards, tranquil gardens, a multitude of mansions, a vibrant Jewish community, and a thriving gallery and cafe culture. Mahail means swamp in English. Historically, this area built over marshland was neighborhood of choice for the aristocracy from the 13th to 17th centuries. This is the Eiffel Tower, built in 1889 for the World's Fair. The Eiffel Tower marveled the world for its grandeur and elegance, and has since become the iconic symbol of Paris. Among all the tourist attractions in Paris, there's no doubt the Eiffel Tower is the most recognizable symbol of Paris. It's named after the engineer Gustave Eiffel, whose company designed and built the tower. When the French government was organizing the World's Fair of 1989 to celebrate the centenary of the French Revolution, the Eiffel Tower was built to serve as the entrance gateway to the World's Fair. Standing 984 feet tall, the Eiffel Tower is visible from far away. It was the tallest building in the world for 41 years. It's also a technological masterpiece in building construction history. Its open lattice wrought iron structure inspires amazement. Nothing like the Eiffel Tower has ever been built in human history. Despite being regarded as a symbol of Paris and France for its beauty, grandeur, and elegance, the Eiffel Tower, however, wasn't well received at the beginning by some of the most prominent French artists. They criticized the Eiffel Tower for being too tall, too strange, too alien, not fitting in Paris with its design. And the Eiffel Tower was meant to be temporary. It was meant to be torn down after the 1889 World's Fair, until being recognized its value as a radio telegraph station. Against all odds, the Eiffel Tower survived and persevered. For nearly 100 years, nothing has served as a powerful image for Paris and France better than the Eiffel Tower. With its unparalleled beauty and strength, the Eiffel Tower has encapsulated so much emotion of the French. From being reviled to renowned, the Eiffel Tower is an unexpected national treasure. The history of Eiffel Tower captivated my imagination. It's like dramatic turns in your life, sometimes unexpected, sometimes unpredictable, and sometimes inevitable. Standing under the Eiffel Tower, gazing upon the tall iron beauty, not only do I see the iconic symbol of France, but also the shadow of my own.
This is Arc de Triomphe, built in 1806. Arc de Triomphe was to honor those who died in the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars.
Standing at the western end of Champs-Élysées, at the center of a juncture with 12 radiating avenues, the Arc de Triomphe is one of the most famous monuments in Paris. Commissioned by Napoleon in 1806, the Arc de Triomphe was completed in 1836 by French King Louis Philippe, who dedicated to the armies of revolution and empire. The colossal monument has an overall height of 164 feet, width of 148 feet, and a depth of 72 feet. Designed by a number of renowned French architects and sculptors, the Arc de Triomphe is a neoclassic version of ancient Roman architecture. The most magnificent feature of the arch is the richly sculptured and engraved facades, which depict the major battles and events in the French history. The names of 660 military leaders who served during the French First Republic and the First French Empire are engraved on the inner facades of the small arches. The great arcades are decorated with allegorical figures representing characters in Roman mythology. In 1453, the 100 Years' War ended between England and France. With its victory, stronger national identities took root in France, which began to emerge into the modern world as a global power. It set off to explore, colonize, and conquer new lands, becoming an empire. In late 18th century, a revolution broke out in France, in which one of the most important leaders in world history, Napoleon Bonaparte, rose to power. He launched military campaigns throughout Europe and expanded his empire. During his reign over France, Napoleon established government policies which profoundly reformed French society, leaving most precious and enduring political and cultural legacies. Napoleon marked French history as the most admired political and military leader. In 1806, Napoleon Bonaparte won the Battle of Austerlitz by defeating Austrians and Russians, marking the peak of his military career. He commissioned the Arc de Triomphe to celebrate the military achievements of French armies, now a history monument to symbolize the French glory in history.
Hi Lucy, how was your duck?
It's amazing. That's the best confit. What's that, Catherine? Dicna. Yeah, confit dicna. The best confit dicna ever. I tried in Houston several years ago in
They never got it right.
some American restaurant, and I ordered, and so because I try to learn how to make this dish, I tried once. It takes lots of effort to make it, and however, I tried in American restaurant, but nothing. It's just salty and fried duck.
Okay.
That's all.
So this is good.
Yeah, this is really good.
Good, this
This
is
the best ever.
Authentic
That's it.
French duck.
Yeah, I believe there must be some restaurants they make better than this, but this
this
one
is good enough.
This is good enough for me. That's the best trip ever.
See the name of the duck again in French?
Confetti. Catherine, help me there, okay? Confetti knot.
Confetti gnat.
Yes. I pronounced right.
Situated on the border between Saint-Germain-des-Prés and the Latin Quarter, the Luxembourg Gardens is the most eccentric, popular, and beautiful park in Paris. Covering 57 acres and known for their beautiful flower beds, tranquil fountains, tree-lined promenades, and romantic sculptures. The park's northern boundary is dominated by the Luxembourg Palace. In 1610, following King Henry IV being assassinated in a religious conflict between Catholics and Protestants, his second wife, Marie de' Medici, who was a Florence native, became the regent for their 9-year-old son, Louis XIII. Having ascended to a much more powerful position and feeling nostalgic about her childhood memory, she decided to build a new palace for herself, similar to her native Florence's Petit Palace. As a result, the Luxembourg Palace was erected, taking its name from Duke Francois Luxembourg, who previously owned the land. Around the same time, Marie de' Medici also began to build gardens surrounding the palace, in a similar style of the Barboli Gardens of her native Florence. The massive building is symmetrical and appears regal. Over the years, it's been used to house artwork. Today, it's home to the French Senate. The gardens is the style of Italian Baroque, and its signature focus is imposing order on nature, making the Luxembourg Gardens picture perfect any time of year. In 17th century in Paris, artworks of Florence were extremely popular, thanks to the rise of the Italian Renaissance, which influenced many cultural aspects of the French society. Music, literature, science, technology, and architecture. The House of Medici, from which the Queen Marie de' Medici came from, originated in Tuscany, a central region in Italy, and began to achieve prominence in Florence through banking in the first half of the 15th century. They went on to become the wealthiest and the most powerful family in Europe for nearly 300 years. Using their family wealth, they supported many prominent artists during the Italian Renaissance, including Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci. Not only did the Medici lay the foundation, but also made Florence the center of Italian Renaissance, ushering in a new era in Europe. The Luxembourg Gardens, with such a distinctive style and a timeless beauty, were built with the heavy Italian Renaissance influence. The Luxembourg Gardens contain 106 most magnificent and romantic works of sculpture in Paris. 20 of them are French queens, saints, and famous women whose lives and works left marks in French history. Classical statues from Roman and Greek mythology are everywhere. You'll find Venus, the goddess Diana, and Vulcan, god of fire, holding his helmet and hammer. Elsewhere, there are nymphs, cherubs, and satyrs. A smaller Lady Liberty, which mirrors the Statue of Liberty in New York, is standing on a pedestal surrounded by greenery, a pleasant reminder that the American version was a gift from France and designed by a French sculptor. The most fascinating and dramatic sculptures can be seen at Medici Fountain, a picturesque site in the east of the gardens. It tells a story from Greek mythology in which the beautiful nymph Galatea and handsome Acis were making love by the pond, while Polyphemus, the son of Poseidon, a giant who was in love with Galatea, menacingly looking over them with jealousy and rage. In the Luxembourg Gardens, the largest and the most beautiful gardens in Paris, you will find groomed trees, ironed and pressed walkways, sculpted flower beds, immaculate emerald lawns, and the most romantic and alluring sculptures. The classic French beauty and elegance inspire admiration. They were created 400 years in the past by the French queen Marie de Medici, who was born in Florence's wealthiest and most privileged family. She traveled to Paris to marry the French king Henry IV at age of 25 as a result of complicated financial and political arrangements and diplomatic negotiations. At the peak of her reign, she was the most powerful woman in Europe. She died at age 67 after being banished from France by her son, Louis XIII. In her life, she was embroiled in palace power struggles and her husband's numerous infidelities and assassination. Deep in her heart, she was still a child, a daughter, nostalgic about the most beautiful and peaceful gardens and palaces that she had lived in her faraway hometown. Visiting Paris is about having a good time and having great food. Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, known for its spectacular architecture, beautiful gardens, and wide boulevards. As we arrived in Paris on July 24th, it was a sunny afternoon. We were greeted by the scene that Parisians were sitting on the sidewalk of the streets, outside of cafes for hours, having meals with their friends. Paris's cafe culture is intricately linked with the Parisian lifestyle. It is as ingrained in Paris's identity as its iconic architecture. There's a cafe at almost every street corner. Some of them are even famous in the world. Although cafe means coffee, typical Paris cafes usually come with a complete kitchen, offering a restaurant menu with meals for any time of the day. Parisian cafes serve as a center of social and culinary life in Paris. They have existed since the 17th century and serve as a meeting place, neighborhood hub, conversation matrix, rendezvous spot, and networking source, a place to relax, the social and political pulse of the city. Parisian cafes show the Parisian way of sitting undisturbed for a couple of hours, watching things happening and the people going by. French cuisine is a gift to the world. With its formal techniques, emphasis on fresh ingredients and simple flavors, pride in presentation, and a rich and colorful history, French cuisine truly has come to rule the world, laying the foundations for many other styles and specialties. Before the Revolution, French royalty and aristocrats made French cuisine an important art and can only be appreciated by the rich and powerful. Today, French cuisine is more accessible to the public. In 2010, French cuisine was listed by UNESCO as World Cultural Heritage. On August 5th at evening, we visited Les Antiquaires, a vintage-style cafe by the beautiful Seine River. I ordered the Beurre Bourguignon, one of the French national cuisine. Beurre Bourguignon is a French beef stew, braised in red wine, usually red Burgundy, typically flavored with carrots, onions, and garlic, and garnished with pearl onions, mushrooms, and bacon. The dish is a standard of French cuisine. Julia Child has described the dish as certainly one of the most delicious beef dishes concocted by man.
Set in the 18th arrondissement, Montmartre is a village on a large hill, 3 miles north of central Paris. With narrow cobblestone streets, small grocery stores and cafes, village atmosphere, artists, bistros, Montmartre is full of charm. Incorporated into the city of Paris in 1860, Montmartre managed to retain its rural aspects for decades. Today, the old village still exists on the top of the hill. It's a destination for many visitors to Paris, but retains a certain charm and aura of its village past. Following its incorporation into Paris, artists and writers began visiting, working in, and moving to what was still a hilltop village. Part of the reason is that it was cheaper to live here than in most urban parts of the city. But another reason must have been the attraction of the area's rural-inspired, slow pace of life. Famous artists like Picasso, Modigliani, and Van Gogh have for a long time made Montmartre their home, met up in cafes, and busy themselves in many artists' studios scattered among the streets of Montmartre. Montmartre is home to the domed Sacré-Cœur Basilica, a masterpiece of grace and grandeur. The narrow streets climb in a bend their way up to the top of the hill, where the white church is standing majestically. Built at the end of 19th century in the Romano-Byzantine style, this Roman Catholic church was dedicated to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and is an important place of worship in the capital. At 200 meters above the Seine River, the forecourt of the church commands a sweeping view over the entire city of Paris and its suburbs. In fact, because Sacré-Cœur Basilica was built on the hill of Montmartre, it's the highest point in Paris, even higher than the Eiffel Tower. It's the most popular tourist destination in Paris after the Eiffel Tower. Montmartre invites visitors to take a step back in time. While wandering its quaint cobblestone streets and relaxing in the enchanting historic squares, there's a real sense of local life here with restaurants, shops, gardens to explore. Even the iron rod balconies above the streets amazed me immensely. This charming quarter represents Paris's most bohemian neighborhoods. Centuries ago, it was a little hilltop village in the country. Today, Montmartre still feels a world apart from the rest of the city.